always make the statement to anyone whoever talks to us. Tact is a good player at the game. I'm a personality hire. But I do think that gives the kind of perspective of a person who is like good at strategic FPS games, because he does a lot more Forbidden than I do. He does a lot more team play, a lot more like strategic. Hey, we need to do this. Like, this is the procedure. This is what you need to do when you push on this map. This is what you need to do if you're like pushing an armory door, etc. Where my gameplay is like more of the average Joe play style. I'm not very good. I generally don't do the strategy stuff. I'm just getting in there, doing my best. So I'm going to push it over to Tact for most of this part, kind of drop in some comments here and there. Maybe even towards the end, give my little bit of a, like, this is what I do versus his, which would probably be the better thing to do. Take it away, buddy.
All right, so let me make sure that I have the right color here before I start going draw crazy. And if you guys see a bunch of stuff, I'll try to explain as best as possible. So we're going to start with the grain trade center right here. So this right here where I'm circling, that's always going to be a guaranteed spawn if you spawn there. Now, some of these other spawns, like if you see at Southwest Farmhouse and Cemetery, may not be there. But usually if you spawn, so if I spawn here, for example, my goal is I'm going to push into Grain Trade Center and try to get into grain as quickly as possible to hold. You want to get upstairs so that way you can hold top control. And then there's this spawn over here. Hold on, I'm going to undo that. So this spawn over here, either they're going to push all the way, so they're going to take this route all the way to stables, or what they can do, there's a rock right here, that little line that I just drew. They're going to be looking, usually snipers do it. I see a lot of snipers guys sit up there, they'll lay down. That way they're not super visible. So now if they sit there, now you have to worry about them. So that's why it's very important to get this top control to kind of contest.
And for those of you who are listening on the podcast, don't mean to interrupt here. The initial spawn he was talking about is the northwest spawn, northwest of Grain Trade in the woods, and the rock he's referring to is going to be the northeast part of a farm. And if you've been there and you've played enough, you'll know that's kind of where the snipers sit. And continue, buddy.
No, you're good. Thank you for. I'm directionally challenged, so I appreciate Tuna for adding some clarity for that. Okay, so yeah, some snipers sit there, and then there is a, hold on, let me clean up some of this. So right about right here, I'm going to draw like a little line. There is a scav spawn. So the scav usually will alert on that rock or possibly anyone running. So I usually leave the sniper alive. I usually actually leave a lot of scavs alive because they're kind of like, think of them like your in-game security system. They're like, that way, if someone gets alerted to the scav is going to start shooting that person, and then it's going to kind of give you some information. Like, I'll look at the scav, look at the direction he's going, and then I'm going to focus on that. And then I'll still keep him alive as long as possible, unless he becomes like a liability to me and gives up my positioning.
Yeah, and the scav he's talking about, again, for those of you who are new, it's a bridge, a land bridge that's in between the two main buildings of Grain Trade. And I call them the main building. That's because those buildings have been there. The other building that is there at the far top left corner of Grain Trade is new to this season. But yeah, it's the land bridge in between. That sniper scav is always there.
And then, so yeah, say we, going back to it, say we spawn back here in guaranteed spawn. So we're going to push here, and then you have a possible team pushing this way. And then cemetery, you do have a cemetery spawn that could spawn here, that could even push there. And then sometimes there's another cemetery spawn on the other side. They can even push in. So you'll typically have guys in this area here, this area, if they're all contesting grain, that is. And then this area, that is why I was saying it's very important to gain capture of Grain Trade Center right off the rip. Because if you're on the outside, it's third party central all day.
Yeah, and, spawning at the top left corner behind Grain Trade. The cemeteries at the southeast corner of Grain Trade. There's two spawns there, and then one at the top northeast near that sniper rock. What he's saying is that there's a chance that 3 teams at the same time will push up into grain trade toward the east port of grain trade, while you're pushing into the northwest of grain trade. So you are more than like, if you're playing lockdown, you're going to run into a fight, and there's going to be somebody coming from one of those directions, at least sometimes multiple teams. And basically you're running, to the south from the northwest corner all the way to like the northeast of grain trade to get into the main building, the one with the safe and the locked room, because you have those other 3 teams pushing from the areas, and they're sometimes they're closer, so you got to be careful.
Yes, yes, you do. Let me get rid of all this real quick. So, also for like a new player route, if you're just trying to get your feet wet and you don't necessarily need to fight anybody, because you could do an avoidance to where, so if you spawn here, right outside grain by the pond or the lake, you can just take this route all the way and you'll be the first one to stables every time. No one's going to beat you there to stables. And then there's a safe in stables on the second floor. And now I'm going to circle this. That is the main building in stables that I circled. So there's an addition where the outside walls are blocked a lot more, so you don't get shot from like every single angle possible. There's a safe there, and then what you can do after you try to hit that safe is then you can just rotate right into motel. Now, the team that you have to worry about in hotel at that point, though, is probably the cemetery team that spawns close to loading area, or the team that spawns at Wheatfield Farmhouse, because Wheatfield Farmhouse has a direct shot to hotel as well. So you kind of have to worry about them 2 teams. But if you could be quick, if pop an endurance stim and bring some e-drinks, I think you'll be fine. Let me undo this real quick. And also for reference, so let's see, there is a locked room. It's called the Barn Office Key. That is on the second floor of the Grade Trade Center. In there, and I talked about the safe and stables on second floor. Small hall, you can hit that after stables, but I mean, there's a team right here that spawns that pretty much they usually W key towards small, but there is a free safe in there.
Yeah,
And
a team
then,
just north of open storage for reference.
yes, and then there is a safe right here on the street, right outside hotel. And then obviously there are, so 201 key is on that side of motel towards the road. It's upstairs, and then the main master bedroom in motels also on the second floor. That's I don't even know how much that key is now. Do you know? I think it's like
5
5 to 7 mil.
million. Yeah, it's about 5.6 maybe. I can't remember. I haven't bought it in a little bit.
Yeah, it's I don't even have the key, to be honest. And then going towards, I'm just calling out the safes real quick. So you got a free safe in loading as well. And then you also have a safe in Villa on the second floor. So you have, I think I cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 safes on the map. I don't think I'm missing any.
I think
No.
you got them all there. And so like, if you are new and you're unfamiliar with the map safes, all the free safes are on your map. They have that's added in season 2, I believe, that they added to where you can see all the free safes. The map used to not be like that. Unfortunately, not all the lock safes are. Like, you'll see the little notification, little notepad above motel, and it'll tell you there are safes there. Unfortunately, you just have to figure them out or look them up where the locked rooms are. He did say there's a locked room in Grain Trade Center. It's the only safe there. There's 2 locked rooms in motel. There's the only safe there. There's a locked room in Villa, safe there. And then there is another locked room that does not have a safe in there, and that is at the building to the top right of the stables area, and that's Stables Warehouse. There is still some pretty good loot there on a lockdown level. On a normal, I probably wouldn't hit it because, like I said, there is no safe, so you don't have a chance of getting anything crazy. But on lockdown, I've pulled enough, and it's pretty cheap, and you get them all the time. If you run Armory, I pull like one every other Armory run. I pull those keys so often.
Yes, and one key I did kind of, but there's no safe, so I usually don't buy it, but The stables warehouse key is right there in the corner. Sorry, I kind of like, hold on. Let me just, yeah, right here. There's a stables warehouse key. I think it's like 200 to 300K key. There's a couple like boxes and stuff, and like there's a suitcase in there, but I don't ever go in there because I've never found anything great in there. There's no safe, and honestly, one of the good reasons to have that key though is like a strategy. So if you want to, let me delete all the red circles real quick here. So yeah, if you wanted to open up Stables Warehouse Key and then you kind of wanted to hold Stables, you could definitely have some people set up in Stables, and then you could set up in the house. Now, some people, if they don't even have the key, they're not even going to think about going in there. Some people may have the key and just rush you anyway, but if you have the right setup, if you kind of have someone in Stables here, and then you have you in there, and then maybe you have someone in the shack right here, you can kind of like hold a position on any entrance that they're going to come in. And then if you want to hold it for a while, you can. Some people do that. Just an alternative strat for that. Let me go ahead and delete that.
And then you have people like the people I play with, and we have no sense of strategy. We're all going to the same places, all doing our own things, and that we make it work. We make it work. Not as often as Tact. There's a reason. There's a huge difference in our liquid cash in the game. I think I just got back up to 5 mil last night. And what are you at now?
I think I'm at 412 mil.
Yeah, he's rich, dude. He don't even know how to talk to these people. He's talking down to me. He just like he doesn't even mean can't even help it.
No, not at all. To add to that, to be fair, I play some Forbidden here and there, but I don't play a lot. Now, if I ran probably HK metas tier 6 armor every single day on Forbidden, I probably would have a lot less. One other thing I wanted, before we kind of break away from this, this side of the map and go to the other side, I want to bring up one very important area here, and that is this area right here. I'm going to circle the whole length of it. So that is called Spine. It is very popular traveled area. A lot of people will sit Spine, and they will, there's a bridge right here. I'm going to just put a dot right there. That bridge goes right across the stables, and some people will hold angles, hold maybe a right-hand peek, and then they'll look to wait to see if someone crossed the bridge, and then they'll ambush them there.
And for those of you Spine, and as those of you who aren't doing the visuals again, the northwest area above Motel and directly south of Stables, that area that there's it's a little bit above, it's risen above, it's a level above, so you can see down into Motel. That's the area he's referring to as Spine.
Yes, and then also towards the road, the bridge. There is a little spot you can kind of look down. You could look over and play Overwatch in Hotel. And sometimes there's a jump down. You can jump down with a sandbag area. I'll crouch there and try to get info. And I've sniped a couple people in Motel from that area. I personally don't sit in Spine because it's very obvious and people can see you from a lot of different angles. So I usually just kind of use it as an information, look a couple angles and then kind of pick a direction and go there. Okay, so that's pretty much Spine. Okay, so let's go over to the other side of the map really quick here. So just trying to see where the layout is. Okay, so you have Southeast Village right here. This spawn is kind of, sometimes it's back here somewhere. I'll just draw a little dot. Usually what I will do, I don't like rushing into South Village. I actually like to push towards Warehouse. There is a spawn up here, and then there is a spawn over here. Now, both of these spawns are not guaranteed. This spawn, though, I believe is a guaranteed spawn. So what I'll do is I will push.
The one they say guaranteed is the bottom right of the map, right by to the southeast of Southeast Village.
Yes. I'll push. Yeah, so I'll push into Warehouse Runes, and then I'll hold the, I will take this outside path all the way around, and then I'll push up to main warehouse area. That way, If you push across the southeast, the guys in main warehouse sometimes go into this area right here in the middle in the forest, and you can't really. It's kind of hard to see, but they will put shots on you if you're trying to go to Villa. But if you go up and around, sometimes they do camp up here. Don't get me wrong, but there's a way less of a there's a better of a chance of you kind of getting around them and then avoiding that choke point.
Yeah, I've definitely been taken out moving from Southeast Village, moving west into Villa, crossing that road. I've been popped by people I didn't see that were hiding in the woods in there between loading area, main warehouse, and warehouse ruins. So it is definitely common, especially Forbidden. Like if you get to the point where you're playing Forbidden or you are an avid Forbidden player, they're people are better. Like they're going to be doing the things more like what Tact's saying, and you'll get them in lockdown too. Less so probably in lockdown because there's still you get a more bigger variance of players in lockdown. In normal, they probably won't be there.
That is right. Let me back out of this. Okay, and then another thing that you have to be careful about if you spawn. So sometimes you can spawn back here behind main warehouse, but sometimes you can spawn like right where that point is in main warehouse itself. There's a team that can spawn right outside. I'm gonna put a dot right there. I will say, just to make a disclaimer, some of the spawns where they have these players are not exact. Players can spawn where my dot is, so they can kind of like spawn in the area, in the general area.
And that dot is in between open storage and loading area, kind of the very north of that main road that's going up into the north.
Yes, they can push. So these guys right here that spawn, they can either go small haul, or what they're gonna do is they're gonna push back to the loading outside of loading area where the helicopter is. And if you're trying to push out main warehouse, they're gonna be waiting for you. So they can go up and there's a tower right here where I circled right by a helicopter outside loading area that people will go up into and snipe you, and because they have the high ground at that point.
Yeah,
So
I've definitely been taken out by somebody in the sniper tower. I've been taken out by people that are on the road, like peeking the wall with like higher optics. If I'm running like a 1-4 and I'm just looking down one, they're like running a 2-7 and they're 2-7ing me in the head, and I never even saw them. So you got to be careful coming out of the left hand side of main warehouse because of that.
yep, the loading area is a very hot spot because of the free safe that's in loading area. People like to push over there also just to get in fights, you know. Also you can jump on the helicopter and get on the very tippy top and lay on one of the propellers, and that's another spot a cheeky spot that you can get into.
Rats.
Yeah. One position really quick that I wanted to point out here that people will sit. Let me try to find kind of exactly where it is. It's going to be hard to tell on the map, but I'm going to do my best to circle it. So it's kind of like right here where the dot is. There is a van jump up on the outside of loading area wall in between loading area and main warehouse. People love to do that jump because there's a tree kind of covering it. If you're inside loading, it's hard to see, but people will sit on the outskirt or the outside of the wall on that van and snipe into loading, or they can kind of see over this area right here, the sandbags area right here that I just marked, which is in between villa and loading area. So there's definitely a couple spots that you could sit that people will snipe you, and you won't have no idea where you're getting hit from.
Yeah, farm is one of those weird maps because if you're playing on normals and lockdown, you can bring like a SRDS, like a red dot scope, and you can generally do okay. But you go to Forbidden, and if you're not careful, if you're not picking your spots or crossing at the right places or being just extra careful of like areas where you could be sniped, you're getting SVDS with red ammo across the map. So it's very odd because it is a fairly small map compared to some maps. Not small, it's like Armory, but it feels small because you can get to things pretty quick. But there are still enough open areas to where you have to be careful if someone's sniping you from like halfway across the map, 200 meters away.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to touch on this briefly. Some of the biggest choke points that you will experience on farm is going to be this area right here in between small hall and open storage, and then this area right here.
The
Like,
entirety of that open ass field with grandma's house in the middle.
yeah, it's pretty bad because especially if you're in Wheatfield area, this is all open and people people will literally hit you from any side. And I've been third partied a lot in these areas, and people with snipers especially will. I've actually, I think it was lockdown. People will sit in the grandma's house right here, and they will use thermals and snipe you when you're running up from like Villa or from a Wheatfield farmhouse.
Very,
Back.
very nice, man. See, a lot of technical like know-how courses through tax rate. I'm gonna go through and give my rundowns to be a lot shorter, a lot simpler for a more smooth-brained individual like myself. All right. If I spawn at Grain Trade Center, I don't care where I'm spawning, whether it's cemetery, loading area, what have you. I am going immediately to that safe. And that's not because it's a tactical thing to do. That's because I'm greedy and I want what's in that safe. And I will fight anybody in that room for that safe. I'm getting that safe at the top of Grain Trade, or I'm dying. It's 50-50. We don't know. From Grain Trade, I'm going up north, going up that road that leads straight to stables. I'm hitting that safe if it's there. I'm fighting a team that's there. I'm grabbing the locked door. If it's locked down or higher, I'll grab the locked door because I do tend to find enough gold to pay for the key. You find one good gold, you pay for the key, and you can hit the key like 15 times. So maybe more, maybe less. I don't know math. If you're doing lockdown, I think it's like 15 times. So I generally always make a good amount of money off the key. Then I go to small hall. I know he said go to motel. My brain is like, okay, what's the minimal amount of impact or minimal amount of like risk I could take to grab another safe? Go into small hall. All right, grab small hall. If the safe's not already hit, grab that. Then I head immediately down to loading area, hit that free safe there. Then from loading area, I go to villa, hit the door. I double back around to motel after everyone's gone. We're late in the map, a lot lower risk, and because I play lockdown a lot. There is a like 50-50 chance that those doors won't even hit. Now, if you play Forbidden, the doors are going to get hit. Forbidden, everybody's got keys, everybody's going to hit. But in Lockdown, you still have a variance of players where they may not hit the keys. Then I'll hit the free safe on the road if it's still there, which usually not. I'll hit the locked room in motel, and then I'll usually take the motel extract out. If I spawn on the right-hand side of the map, which is actually a better spawn in my opinion, because I can do like a straight shot run without doubling back, I'll hit Southeast Village because there's 2 red spawns in Southeast Village. One is in this building here, which is the building at the very top left-ish. It's the one that has the cash register in it. And then there is a little stables at the top right of Southeast Village. Those are 2 places where reds can spawn. I have pulled probably 5 reds doing lockdowns at the one on the left, the one that has the cashier or the cash register in it. I'll go straight from there, straight to Villa. Hit the safe at Villa, and it really depends because sometimes you spawn above loading area. I'll hit loading area first, then Villa, then Southeast Village, or Southeast Village, Villa, then loading area. Go to small hall, go to stables, go to motel. I know it's riskier, but I'm lazy and I don't want to double back around because usually your extract's over there by Grain Trade anyways. Hit the motel safes, then go to Grain Trade Center. And it's all about those safes, man. I want them, and I'm going to go get them. And I die more often for that. And then all my friends are kind of greedy too that I usually play with. So,
one really quick route that I forgot to say that I'm just gonna add is if you spawn cemetery, what you can do it's really hard to see, but there right here there is a no backpack exfil. So what you could do is you could quick run hotel. Now obviously you have to save because the keys are expensive, at least for the main bedroom. You can hit the main bedroom key, which is a very high return rate. You can also hit 201, and then you could try to hit the free save here if you got time and you don't notice anyone around, and then you could just keep your butt pocket free, and then you could just shoot right over and get out. If you're trying to do like loot runs, like consistent loot runs where you just go in with maybe go in like a deagle or something, and then, like minimal stuff, and then just run it. You could run that path to get money.
Straight from south loading area into motel, and the return on the investment of that key is so good because there's 2 safes in that room, plus some other good loot boxes in there. So you get 3 safes just at motel, 1 outside of motel as you're heading up to recycling station at the north east corner of the intersection between the two main roads and farm, and you're out. Especially if you've done all the quests, and you got that 3x3. You can put a lot of stuff in that bad boy.
Oh yeah, it's a good loot run. Also, like a scav, it's a good way to kind of blend in.
Absolutely. And if you are a normal player, I feel like I want to bring this up because if you're listening to this part and you don't know these things already, you're most likely new. Watch out for those player scavs, dude. They're more like a player scav is more dangerous than a player bot. And they have no fear and they will run you down, dude. Just be careful because they'll be at those spots too and they spawn wherever.